Hi, my name is Sabrina Emery, and this podcast is about my soul journey into becoming a teacher. So, the first question that we're going to talk about is why have I chosen to become a teacher? And in what ways might you understand teaching as a calling? So, I wanted to be a teacher ever since I was really little. I remember in kindergarten when you make those posters that say, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And it was a teacher. And it wasn't until college, though, that I wanted to become a special ed teacher. My mom has a disability. She is deaf, hard of hearing. And I didn't really realize that until I got into college because I was just so used to her. That was just my mom. But when I started to realize, you know what, maybe that is my calling. It has chosen me because I've grown up with it. And then I started to work as an instructional aide. I really just fell in love with the kids and that atmosphere. I think that's what really got me into the special ed side of teaching. And in what ways might I understand teaching as a calling? I think you either have the heart and patience to do it or you don't. And hopefully you do. I know there's instances where some people don't and the kids end up missing out. So it's really important to understand that it is a calling. It is something you really have to have a heart for. And the next question was, to what extent might you see teaching as part of your journey in experiencing connection, community, and wholeness? So, I've made so many connections with students, staff. I think teaching and education really brings people together. Sometimes you see students and other staff more than your own families. So, you have to understand the importance and that wholeness that everyone has to you. And if you all work as a unit together, the teachers, the staff, the parents, it's important. And if you don't, that community or system is not going to work at all. So it's very important to have all those concepts. And the second question set of questions that we're going to go over is, resiliency may be described as our attempt to deal with a lack of connection, community, and wholeness. Can you recall a time in your own educational or personal experience which required you to demonstrate resiliency? How did you manage to remain resilient? So, growing up, you tend to remember the really good teachers you had or the really bad ones. At times, the bad ones more so than the good. And I remember I had a class in high school where I was not understanding the material. So the teacher actually started to put me down, kind of humiliate me in front of the class. And all I needed was just that extra help. So one day, my mom finally decided maybe we should email her, ask her for help to see what the problem is, things like that. But when we did that, she messaged us back and she said, I assumed if she was failing my class, she was failing all her classes. And so she decided it was basically a waste of time to help me. So I decided to show resiliency by studying as hard as I could from other resources. I showed her that I could do it. I could pick up my grades without her. And I also showed her that my grades in other classes were good. That wasn't the truth. And I think I came out of it a better person, and I can prove that I can do it regardless of her not helping me or the rude comments. But there was definitely a lack of connection, community, and wholeness between myself and that teacher. And that's just my personal experience from the students' side, which leads us into the next question, actually. what might be some ways that you anticipate having to exercise resiliency as a teacher? What will you do to help yourself thrive as the role of the teacher rather than merely survive? And how might your faith intersect with your role as a teacher? Like I said, the previous question was more of my own personal student side of it, but now we're flipping the table and we're looking at it as a teacher's perspective and how you can have resiliency. And like I said, the previous question was actually an extreme case, but as a teacher, I would have to practice resiliency maybe when a student isn't understanding the concept, but instead of getting upset, you show resiliency by not giving up on them, by trying to find new ways and strategies to help. There are going to be many times that you'll have to overcome difficulties as a teacher, whether it's working with parents, those struggling students, behaviors, maybe even not seeing eye to eye with other staff, but you have to always try and show resiliency and overcome those things in the most positive way that you can. You can thrive. It says, what will you do to help yourself thrive in the role of a teacher? And you can thrive by being excited, knowing that you're helping these kids, being a good role model. But you have to always be able to adapt and know things won't be perfect, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. And you have to also continue to grow and learn yourself throughout your whole process. And I think that will really help you thrive as a teacher. How might my faith intersect with the role as a teacher? I believe faith brings a lot of positivity. It brings a lot of kindness, and it gives you something to believe in. And I think you can always bring that with you no matter where you go or what you do. So I think bringing that base concept can really make a big impact on teaching and in education. I know we can't necessarily push our thoughts or anything because everyone's different, and that's totally fine. But I think just bringing that base concept of being kind and positive and giving you something to believe in is a great way to integrate your faith and education. Have there been any significant cultural beliefs or experiences which have influenced your desire to become a teacher? Has your understanding or experience in matters related to social injustice had an impact on your decision to become a teacher, and if so, how? First, I have always grown up in a very diverse community, and I was always surrounded with people from different backgrounds, whether it was at school. I've had many different babysitters from different backgrounds, my family, my friends. So I've been very lucky in that sense. But social injustices that I really have seen and has played a big impact on me is when it comes to people with disabilities. Again, my mom had a disability, and I would see now, looking back at it over the years, how she's been treated. There's a lot that was not available for her, or people wouldn't treat her very well in certain circumstances. So, also my job, I see how people treat our students with disabilities when we're out in the community, and it hurts me to see it, and I think there's a big social injustice also in having to deal with people with disabilities. And I just want, as a teacher, to be able to show people, and like, they're just people as well, and I want them to understand them, and I want to help fight for these students that don't have a voice or who can't fight for themselves, but I really just want to help other people understand. Then maybe they'll be more mindful or more happy about it. So hopefully I can do so when I become a teacher. I can do so now, but as a teacher, I think you're a really big role model, so you can play an even bigger role or have a bigger impact. Last, how might your current educational philosophy have been impacted by your own educational experience in K-12, by my experience thus far at APU? I've had, like I said, good and bad experiences throughout my K-12 career. I've seen how you should treat your students and how to help them individually. For example, I had a really, the previous questions I had a really bad experience, but I want to give a really good experience. I was terrible at math, and I had some teachers that would actually go the extra mile to help me understand because they could see my frustration and they really cared. But then I had teachers who would, again, put me down or make me feel bad. But I think that by having both of those experiences, it has taught me a lot. And I just started at APU, but again, it's taught me so much already on integration, inclusion, how to use your beliefs in the classroom without making anyone feel left out. And I really love the experience so far, and I think it will teach me how to be a great teacher. So that's just a little piece of my journey into becoming a teacher. It is not over yet. It is just the beginning, so I'm pretty excited about it. Thank you.